Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the rest of the world. My name is Ashish Sayal. I'm the founder and architect for the Mango platform. We're very pleased to have today with us a very distinguished group of people. We have Philippe Guillemette, who is the CTO of Sierra Wireless. We have Brandon, who is the CEO of Barnacle. And we're waiting for Chuck Link to join, who's the CTO of M2MD Tech. The way I would like to do this presentation today is first go over what quickly Mango is, talk about what we're trying to do with the Mango platform, and after that, I will hand it over to Philippe, then to Brandon, and then to Chuck. So as we start, I would like to do a couple of slides just to bring Mango into perspective again. So again, here are our people who will be joining today's call: Philippe, Brandon, and Chuck. I guess you guys can see my screen, correct? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go here. So Mango is an open source platform which has been purpose-built for cellular connectivity. It allows developers to quickly try out their ideas, see if the ideas are worthwhile to pursue further. If they fail, to iterate on their ideas and then take it to the market. To that end, what we did with the Mango platform was we released a series of reference designs. The first one was Mango Green, which was launched in 2016. The second one was Mango Red, which was launched last year in 2017. And both of them have been highly adopted by the community. And to that end, today, Chuck and Brandon will go over how they adopted this platform. Also, we are seeing a lot of, what we've also seen is that when we were using the Arduino or Raspberry Pi connectors, they were very good for, I would say, doing some prototyping, but not for industrialization. To that end, we came up with what's known as IoT expansion cards. So these allow you to add different technologies like, say, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, RS-232, RS-485 to the Mango board, if those technologies are not already on the Mango board. Today, we have more than 20 IoT cards available on mango.io/buy page. You can see we just added yesterday 4 IoT cards. So if you're interested in the RS-232 IoT card, that might be of interest to you because that was added yesterday as well. One thing I would like to emphasize as to what differentiates our platform or what we have focused on is our 3 key main features. The first one is the whole platform, the hardware and the software, which is a Legato open source framework. They're industrial grade. We guarantee that anyone using this platform will have all the requirements that are needed from an industrial perspective. The second thing we are focused on extensively is the ecosystem. We have a wide range of partners. These include technology partners, design houses, manufacturing houses, and channel partners. So you can think about technology partners like Bosch, Qualcomm, MediaTek, distribution partners like DigiKey, Richardson, design partners like Glassboard, Jabil, and manufacturing partners like Jabil, Flex, and others. But what is key, one of the key things we are focused on is that we have built this platform with the feedback from the developers. We have listened extensively to the people who use our platform. And when we, as an example, launched the Red, we were getting constant feedback and we made the changes on the platform based on the feedback we got. However, we also knew how to target the different verticals that the platform could satisfy. So we take feedback, we take it into account, and we make modifications if needed. About the Mango platform itself, we have 4 key features here. We provide extensive documentation and support. So on the mango.io website, you'll find a lot of documentation. You'll find a lot of source code on GitHub. Our forum is very active, and we do our best to answer questions as quickly as possible there. We do extensive awareness campaigns and outreach either through our partners or through events like the Innovation Summit in Paris in June of 2018, which if you're in that area, you might be interested in to come and see us. We're heavily engaged, so we do these kind of Google Hangouts with people to listen to them and provide feedback as is needed. And we have extensive social presence through LinkedIn, Twitter, and other channels from a messaging perspective. With that, I'm going to pass the mic to Philippe. And Philippe, it would be great to hear from you on this topic. So I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, thanks. Can you hear me well? Okay. That's pretty good. So, hey, hi everybody. So, I'm Philippe Guillemette. I've been the CTO of KWLS for about 10 years. Before that, I was the CTO and CMO of Western. A bit of my background, so I have a telecom and digital signal processing engineering background, and especially I worked for the first 15 years of my life as an embedded software developer, especially building protocol stack. A few words as well about Sierra. So Sierra, we are around 1,300 people spread across North America, Europe, and Asia. We are about $800 million revenue, and we are full. All we do is IoT. IoT is really our business, and for IoT, we really do three kinds of line of products. We build wireless modules and wireless gateways and routers. They are mainly cellular, but not only, and we sell millions of these. We are also a full MVNO, a mobile network operator. So basically, we can sell airtime and connectivity and megabytes per month. And we also have a cloud-based management platform, which is here to manage these devices, but also which is a data ingestion platform, so that we can be a repository for user data, and then be the kind of the entry gate to the internet, where after that our customers can connect to their preferred cloud platform. We also have a solution where we stitch all this together, a device-to-cloud solution. I'll come back a bit later on that. So I personally started the cellular revolution with 2G. So that was a long time ago when we were defining the 2G, moved to a few billion subscribers and units per year. And that was pretty exciting at times. But I have to say that now is also an extremely exciting moment, and one of the most exciting moments I've been through so far. And what I mean by that is with the availability now of L2WA, the CAT M1 and NB1 technologies, I really believe that this is a time where IoT and IoT connectivity is becoming truly pervasive. If you think about L2WA, it's about very high coverage, so the device will work no matter where the appliance is. Very low consumption, so possibility to have device running on battery for years, and really low cost, that you can use that everywhere, and you can think about it as, to some extent, a simplified version of Bluetooth and low-speed Wi-Fi, but much easier to use because you don't have to have a gateway in the middle. You just place your sensor wherever you want, and you have direct connectivity to your cloud, which is a major improvement in terms of ease of use. So anyway, I'm not here to talk about LPWA, but it's a very exciting technology for me. But the reason why I mention it is I believe that thanks to this connectivity technology, IoT is really about to become ubiquitous, but still something else has to change to make IoT truly, truly scale to the level we would like to. And that this thing has to change whether you are a large corporation or an engineering in your own startup. And what has to change is ease of use. Ease is reducing complexity. It's, as Ashish mentioned a bit, I think it's critical to be able to build quickly a prototype or a proof of concept, and to be able to build it much more easily than what we do today. Today, we spend months and months in building your board from a hardware point of view, connecting all the right peripherals, piecing together a ton of software building blocks, whether you use Linux or FreeRTOS or whatever other operating system. But it's a lot of work to piece all this uh, together before you can start as a developer building your own application. So there is still a lot of complexity in that space that we believe needs to be reduced for the market to explode. At the same time, what we've seen is in embedded the same trend that happened in computers many years ago, which is the massive use of open source building blocks, so that to some extent it's not possible anymore for a single company to build everything by itself. And I do not think the community anyway wants to rely on that. But that massively happened with Linux in general and on the computing world, but that still needs to happen on the embedded world. I said that I've been in that industry a long time ago. I started working with Linux when it was kernel 0.9, and at the time we had to, I mean, the job of the evangelist, and I was one of them, was basically to make a copy of 20 or 30 floppy, to make 2 copies and to distribute it to at least 2 guys so that we could spread the Linux virus. It has gone a long way since then, but that's the way it was happening. And I think the same thing, not doing floppy, but the same thing has to happen on the embedded. So this is the reason why at Sierra we are building this open source project like Mango, which is the topic of today's discussion, but as well Legato, which is the software brother of Mango. We really believe that open source is essential to build up quickly prototype and proof of concept. And at the same time, we understand that developers, people, you want to see what's inside what you're using. You want to see the inside. You do not want to have a lock-in, and you want to be able to contribute back potentially to this project. So that's the reason why Sierra has invested in this open source project. Candidly, we put a very large amount of money. I'm talking about many millions of dollars in this project. But again, we believe that, as I usually say, making the complex simple is necessary for this industry to grow, to see this exponential growth we are talking about. We have the core technology here. Again, LPWA is really here to have that. Now we really need to think about developers and ease of development and ease of use. On the same line, and that's going to be close to my final statement, that as I mentioned at the beginning, we are developing as well a device-to-cloud solution, which is a complete solution that includes device, the connectivity, and the cloud platform, and all that abstracted, all the complexity what happened in the middle abstracted for developers, so that you don't have to deal with all these difficult problems of how do you connect your device, how do you exchange data at the right time, under the right circumstances. All that we are abstracting that in our device to cloud platform. We believe that what needs to happen in the IoT space is a bit like what happened in the world of cloud computing 10 years ago, where there was a massive reduction in the complexity of deploying and managing servers, databases, networking gears, where in the past you had to do everything by yourself. Now you can use any of the large cloud computing offerings, and candidly to deploy a virtual appliance and to scale them at any level is amazingly simple. So that's what we are doing at the more focused on IoT, and we are doing that because we believe it's good for us and it's good for you. CROLS is not a philanthropic organization, but at the end of the day, we believe that a large child is lifting up all the boats, and that's what we want to accomplish, which is, being part of that large side that is going to really help this IoT market to be at the scale we want to reach. Okay, that would be all my small talk, and I'll return the mic to Ashish. Thanks.
Thank you, Philippe. That was really good. Thanks for that. So what we'll do, hi, Chuck. Good to see you. Hey, good to see you. So Chuck, what we'll do is we did a general introduction, and we will now go to Brandon, and Brandon will go over his journey with Mango, and then we'll move to you, Chuck, after that. Okay. Go ahead.
For me. There we go. That works for me.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks so much, Ashish, for being here. And Philippe, it was great to hear from you there. That's yeah, it's a really cool story about Sierra, and we certainly appreciate your open source project. Yeah. So as Ashish mentioned, my name is Brandon Wright. I'm the founder and CEO of Barnacle Systems. We've developed this, the Barnacle, and it's the smart home for your boat. And I'll jump right into my presentation here. Let's see, share that. Okay, so you see my screen here? Zoom. All right, so Barnacle, the smart home for your boat. Our position is for people who suffer from boater's anxiety and who need to know the health and status of their vessel. So we've developed the Barnacle as a product that allows boaters to check in on their vessel and actually see GPS position. So for example, if your boat breaks moorage and floats to shore, you can get an alert to your smartphone. You can check in with the onboard camera. We have a motion sensor for security. You can also monitor your batteries, your bilge activity, your shore power connection, all the critical components that boaters need to know that their boat is still safe. So going into a little bit of my background and why I'm here speaking at all. In 2008, I graduated from the University of Victoria here in British Columbia, Canada, with a degree in electrical engineering. I've got a surveillance background, and one of my first projects that I was involved in was developing a surveillance system for the Hoover Dam that would monitor vessels that were coming in towards the dam. That was a pretty cool project, and then moved on to doing a super yacht marina in Florida, where we were able to monitor boats that were coming in via radar. So we'd actually see any vessel that would come in and out of a marina and track them. So that way, any of the super yachts, if there was any threats or any issues, we would actually know ahead of time, or at least have video record of whatever may have happened. The company that I worked for was called FLIR, a pretty large company, international company, and that ended up leading me to doing quite a bit of work in the Middle East. So I was out in Qatar primarily, also did some work in Dubai, but the Qatar-Saudi border, we developed some surveillance trucks that were used for monitoring along the entire border of Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And these trucks, what they do is they'd see 18 to 30 kilometers in any direction, and they'd use the FLIR thermal cameras to actually see long distances. The Qatar-Saudi border project went quite well, and we ended up winning an award from the Assistant Chief of Staff of Qatar for successful completion of the project. So that was quite the honor, and for me being in my 20s at the time was pretty surreal. And that project gained us quite a bit of attention in the Middle East, and we actually ended up doing surveillance for the King of Dubai's private island. And that was another system with radars, thermal cameras, and for me, as a systems engineer at the time, basically piecing all the parts together, having a radar, communicate with a camera, doing some underwater monitoring, things like that. It was a really amazing experience. And things got a little bit more intense. We ended up using the similar technology along the US-Mexico border. I ended up getting to do a presentation to the retired US Secretary of Defense, William Cohen, on suitable border control techniques and surveillance technology. So basically got to do a demo of what we were working on. And again, being in my 20s, the first thing that William Cohen actually said was, so son, how old are you? And for me, it was a pretty scary question. And then I was like, well, I'm 26, 27, whatever. Like I came out here from Canada to work on these projects. And then he's like, oh, excuse me, son. So you're telling me that a 27-year-old Canadian is telling me how to run my border. So that was a pretty interesting and wild experience. But for me, I was just excited to be doing more work in the United States and in North America and be closer to home here in Canada. But it turned out that doing work for United States ended up sending me back to the Middle East. So I ended up doing some work along the Saudi-Yemen border, doing, again, surveillance and monitoring. And the system that we deployed out there, sadly enough, a suicide bomber had gone in and blown up one of the guard bases out there. And about 2 weeks after I left, that had happened. So that was a really terrifying experience for me. And at the same time, it was about 2 days later, I found out I was becoming a dad. So that was a pretty big change. I thought, okay, no more Middle East, no more remote surveillance. And so I ended up getting a job as a product manager developing equipment for smart cities. So the company was called Forest Technology Systems, and they still operate today. They're a great company. One of the products that we developed was a radar level sensor, and it was an IoT type product that would allow you to get alerts if a flood was incoming into a city. So you could have a large dashboard and you could see water levels of all the different streams. And in some places in the United States, that's a very big deal. And the next product was a remote camera system called the RAOS. And that system was used to be deployed on mountaintops and monitor for forest fires. And so this system, coincidentally, we'd actually use some cellular modems that weren't Sierra Wireless at first, and they didn't perform very well. And we ended up switching to the Sierra Wireless RV50 modems, and basically all of our cellular problems went away. I mean, it's kind of a shameless plug for Sierra again, but that was a really excellent conversion for us at FTS. And so as a product manager, we developed this system, we launched it, and now it's being used throughout the United States and Canada as a forest fire monitoring camera system. And then in 2017, so early last year, my boat broke moorage. So I've got a 27-foot Catalina. The mooring ball that's closer on the screen there, that was my mooring ball that my boat was originally attached to. And so at about 3 in the morning, I get a phone call from my dad, and at first, I thought my mom was hurt or my sister was hurt or something like that. But instead, he just said that my boat had broken moorage. Like, okay, everyone's fine, no problem. We'll get the boat off the beach. So I did the 45-minute drive to get to the boat and winched it off the beach. And it was just a nightmare. And so I went on the hunt to actually try and find a product that would tell me that my boat had broken moorage again. And so what I learned was that the current solutions were to visit your boat in person. You'd have to rely on marina staff. So if you had your boat at a marina, you're going to have to rely on the staff there to tell you that your boat has something wrong with it, or you have to install an outdated system. So the outdated system was really the key part. As I started sussing out the market and seeing what was out there, and with my background in the smart cities, working with the Googles and the Apples and all those different companies of the world, I realized that there was a huge gap within this smart boat market. And so I ended up quitting my job in July of last year to go full Barnacle. So we have 2 full-time employees at Barnacle Systems, myself, the CEO with electrical engineering degree, product manager, pragmatic marketing level 5, and a professional engineer. And then my boy, Nick Van Doorn, he's our lead software developer, and he's actually paused university. It's kind of that whole startup story, but his mantra for life really seems to be talk is cheap, show me the code. So he's been just hammering away, and he's very, very active on the Mango forums as well too. So one of the big things for Barnacle is to give back, and for us, being on the Mango forums has been really nice, and we've been hoping to help out others as well. So we've been pursuing the smart boat technology, and the Barnacle system, as I mentioned, is hardware that you place on your boat to be able to check in on your vessel and see everything remotely. So whether it's a tablet, smartphone, or your laptop, you can check in on your boat. And what we're trying to prevent is theft. So with our camera, you can actually see what's going on. We support pressure mats, door and window sensors. We can output to a siren, and we have the onboard motion sensor. syncing at dock. So this is actually a problem that we didn't realize was so prevalent. And this is prevented by actually monitoring the shore power on a boat. So this is plugging your boat into the dock and monitoring whether your plug is basically there. And if the shore power plug is disconnected, what happens is if there's a big rainstorm and your pumps are working hard, it may drain your batteries. And once those batteries are drained, there's nothing protecting your boat from staying afloat. So we prevent that by monitoring your bilge, your high water alarm, and we also have a pitch and heel monitor to tell you what the angle of your boat is in the water. And then what's turned out to be a big problem here in British Columbia is otters jumping on board. So these furry little bandits are jumping on board vessels and actually really disturbing the boat. So they'll chew up your canvas, they'll bring their food on board, and they will leave little, I guess, scraps, you could say, on board your vessel. So we can scare them off when they step on board with the pressure mat. Using the motion sensor as well, we can set off the siren. So getting more into the technology, a little bit of a history. I like to call it the Museum of Barnacle. We started off with the Arduino. And so this was summer of 2017 that we really got going. That was when I quit my job, obviously. And then I developed this little prototype using an Arduino. And what I quickly found, I was running into memory problems. So with the Arduino, I was thinking, okay, this will be great, get it on my boat, get a few sample points, but it really didn't have my minimum viable product. I didn't have the camera. I didn't have a lot of the features that I was looking for. And the big thing was I found that it was pretty unreliable. It was really a hobby grade type device, and even the programming languages, I found it a little restricting. So I ended up moving on to the Raspberry Pi. So as any hobbyist would know, the Raspberry Pis are a great little entry-level Linux computer. It supported a camera right out of the box. But as I was developing this product, I really thought like, okay, how am I gonna do this at scale? And with the Raspberry Pi, there was no real thought of how I was gonna scale this. And that really led me to thinking, okay, should I actually stick with the Raspberry Pi? And so I sat and thought about it, and I thought this cartoon was perfect about sort of the feelings that I had at the time. It's like, okay, I could just stick with the Raspberry Pi and just fight through the fire, but I did what I always do, and I kept calm and I Googled it. So I started doing a search for low power Linux processors or computers, and really spent a lot of time searching around. And I had a few different options, and what I landed on was the Mango Red, and it was a really new product at the time. I'd seen the Mango Green, and it was a larger device. The Mango Green's a larger device, and for me, I instantly was turned on by this Mango Red, where it was already small, it had additional sensors already built into it, and it allowed us to expand. So what we did was we developed our own IoT board. So this is a completely custom Barnacle IoT board. With the help of Celtic Electronic Design, we produced this. And some of the pieces that we really liked about the Mango was the documentation. So using the Legato framework, the Linux-based API, having the open source code was critical for us, because even if we found something that didn't quite work the way that we intended it, or even Legato, or for any of the APIs, we could actually submit change requests or pull requests, and provide support for this open source project. And not that we found very many things at all, but it's just been really nice to have that community where if we find something, we can actually help and participate. And with the point of the technical community, that Mango forum has been invaluable for us as we've developed this product. So this is the first iteration of our Barnacle product. And that brought us through winter up until a few months ago, basically. But we also took the Mango schematics, all of it being open source and available online. We were able to develop our own custom boards. So we quickly went from having an IoT board to having our fully Barnacle-owned boards that were based off of the schematics provided by the Mango team. And so having these schematics available gave us a really fast turnaround on actually pushing these boards out. And again, we were able to leverage an incredible technical community on the Mango forum. So we're extremely grateful for the group that's out there and for what Sierra Wireless has done for us. And just kind of summarizing it, our time to market, I mean, as a product manager, I fully expect anything to take 18 months to go to market. So 1.5 years would be the standard from anything I've ever seen to actually go from idea to being in the market. And for us at Barnacle, we've actually managed to launch our product in under a year. So saying winter 2017 till now, which is June, or what is it, May? It's May. I don't even remember the date anymore. It's May 23rd. So doing that math, like we're well under a year right now based on using the Mango. We expected to have to write about 250,000 lines of code, but in reality, with all the open source code that was out there, we've written about 50,000 lines of our own code so that we can integrate in our camera and other features. And on that note too, we have open sourced some of our code and shared it with the Mango community so that if you want to integrate a camera into your project, you can actually use our open source code just in the sake of giving back. And from an investment perspective, I mean, even $500,000 to get a hardware product fully to market with all the marketing efforts and everything is pretty lean. I mean, every project I've done in the past has been $750,000 plus, but we're sitting at under $75,000. And that's because with this open source framework, we've really been able to leverage a lot of the work that's already been done by an incredible team at Sierra. And then we're basically just building off of that. So I haven't had to require a team of 15 engineers and 20 software developers. We've been able to do this with a contractor for electronics and a software developer in-house, and then me just kind of floating back and forth wherever I can help out, but primarily focusing on marketing and sales. So it's been a wonderful experience so far working with the Mango, and I'm honestly grateful that I didn't stick with the Raspberry Pi moving forward. And so our IoT platform, we're using the Sierra Wireless AirVantage backend. So that's the IoT platform where we can actually register all of our SIM cards. We can see all the data going in and out, so we can see how much data is being used. We're able to troubleshoot. And then we're also able to basically hide the data so that we don't see it ourselves. Because with all the things going on with privacy right now, it's been a big concern for us. And being in the boating world with more bespoke people buying the product, we found it imperative that we found a reliable and secure system. And so using the AirVantage platform has been really good for us. And we'd actually originally used the IBM Bluemix platform, which we can talk offline with anyone that's interested, but we didn't have a great experience with that. So it was almost like a sunrise for us when AirVantage appeared, and we got to use that. And from a back-end perspective, we're using the Google Cloud platform, so Firebase for our database with redundant storage. And then we're using the Ionic framework for our mobile app and web app. So we have one code base that spawns across the web and mobile apps, so it can be Android and Apple compliant. So we've been very, very fast and very lean in a sense where we've picked 3 very, very strong frameworks, and everything basically relies on the AirVantage platform right now to distribute all that information to those platforms. All right, and that's the presentation. Thanks very much. Feel free to visit our website at www.brnkl.io, and that's pronounced Barnacle. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Brandon. This was awesome to hear your journey and know you more as a person.
Yeah.
And also then find out more about how the project started and how you're able to come to this point. And thank you for being part of this Hangout.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, and if there's any questions, I've asked people to ask us on the forum. And I know you and Nick are very active on the forum, so they can definitely jump on to you guys. With that, I'm going to pass on to Chuck. Chuck, if you're there, let's switch to you and we'll take it from there.
Hopefully I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, and I'm going to...
There you go. I apologize. The laptop's sitting on my lap. I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. I am previously the co-founder of a little company that was called Hughes Telematics. Now it's called Verizon Connected or Verizon Connect, something like that. I was one of the co-founders and the chief technology officer there until I retired in 2015. So one day my wife told me to get off the couch and go cut the grass. And I decided there had to be better things in life to focus on. So I decided to focus on problems that I hadn't solved after 10 years at Hughes and Verizon. So while I was at Verizon, it was a great position and it was a great opportunity for me, but it didn't really allow me a whole lot of time to focus on technical challenges. My boss believed that we had a great technical team and their job was to focus on the technical challenges, and your job is to set the technology groundwork. So I actually had a prior experience with Sierra, something that Brandon reminded me of. We used OpenAT in one of our products for many, many years. Apologize about the noise. I'm in a airport, and I'll try to pause if it gets really, really bad. Anyhow, prior to Hughes Telematics, I spent many years in the wireless business, specifically at Bell South and Singular. There, I focused generally on control plane signaling, things like SS7 and GSM map, IS41. These are control plane methodologies that are used in the wireless world. So that experience gave me a great understanding of the way calls are handled and mobile network operators and their networks. So I formed a new company when my wife kicked me out of the house. That company is called M2MD Technologies. We're a small company, somewhat like Brandon. We started about 3 years ago, and we are specifically focused on a little bit of the same thing I focused on at Hughes Telematics, but a little bit different as well. At Hughes Telematics, we are a telematics service provider. We provided service to people like Mercedes, Volkswagen, and Nissan, as well as several aftermarket solutions. At M2MD, I am focused specifically on little pieces of the value chain that I could not solve when I was at Hughes and Verizon. So if you consider all of the challenges, there were a couple of challenges that were really looming for that are still looming, let me say, except for the fact that I've solved them, that are looming for the automotive business. And those challenges, first and foremost, is connectivity. And connectivity sounds really simple. We're dealing with connected devices, but specifically, you're standing there and you want to start your car sitting in the driveway and warm it up before you get out there and have to freeze. Well, today in every single car, it takes about 45 seconds, with the exception of Tesla, and they got a big battery underneath the back seat. So there needs to be a low power solution for the device, a state that the device can remain in and yet be instantly reached. And the standard in the technology is to use an SMS, what we called shoulder tap, to wake up the device and force the device to connect to the network where you could establish a session. And I don't care, you can go pick our customers or any other car company that generally builds an internal combustion engine vehicle, and you're going to find out that it's at least 30 seconds, but more like 45 seconds to get the attention of the car. And the reason is, again, you want that device to remain in a low power state, which means you can't necessarily establish a data session and operate it with pings going back and forth. That just doesn't work. It burns too much power. Car companies have power budgets and they want you to stay within those power budgets. One of the second things I chose to focus on was security. And security is an interesting problem that you hear every single day in the connected car space. But it's one of these things that, knock on wood, we never had any issues with, but it was always a challenge. And when I talk about security, you know, everybody knows about the famous Jeep hacks, and there were a number of reasons for that. And I'm going to say maybe, you know, they were unfairly portrayed in some aspects, but everybody knows about those. Almost every car company, except for those three that we managed at Hughes Telematics, almost every company has had breaches over the last few years. And it was always a challenge for us to maintain our security, to set up security, to configure security, and to operate with security. And what we've done at M2MD is we've solved these problems, the security problem and the connection problem. We still there? You hear me okay? Yep. Yep, okay. Just making sure somebody unmuted their microphone, but that's okay. So with respect to this, at M2MD, we focused on these problems, and we focused on a couple of other problems as well. One of those is adding your car to your data plan. So we call that the shared data manager. So how does this relate to Mango? Well, a few years ago when I was starting the company, I was looking for a platform to do development with. And let me tell you, I bought everything on the market. Everything you can imagine, I have one of, or at least one of. And the Mango green and then the red really allowed me to get up and get running. So today, we demonstrate our technologies using Mango red devices. We've transitioned from the Mango green to the Mango red, and we have a wonderful demonstration. Yes, I did that demonstration earlier today. So we have a wonderful demonstration that demonstrates various pieces of our technology, and it's all based on the Mango red. So I guess, you know, one of the things that I'll tell you is, you know, what's our competitive strength? Well, our competitive strength is our ability to put a device on the network and operate on a battery budget of about 1,000 milliamp hours for 30 days. And this technology works on 3G and 4G networks, and it allows a remote access to this device instantly. It allows someone on a mobile application or a computer system, if so desired, to instantly communicate with this device while it's sitting in this low power state. From a security perspective, we use the SIM card to generate security credentials. So we have what I'll tell you, and this is some buzzwords, post-quantum compliant security solution that allows someone to deploy a device today. It may be deployed for the next 10 years, but it will be secure when quantum computing is present. Our solution, on top of all of the security and the quick connection, in a typical automotive use case, uses a small fraction of the amount of data required for competing solutions. So the best competing solution doing similar things consumes about 500 kbytes using exactly the same use case as ours using 31 kbytes. Yes, better than or less than 10% of the number of bytes. It is ultra secure, and you can communicate with it instantly. So let's talk about some of the way that we got to where we are today and some of the challenges that we've faced over the years. And I'm not new to this space. Maybe I don't have the broad experience that Brandon has, but I'm not exactly new to this space. And in my prior opportunities, we always had challenges prototyping, always. And I can tell you, we put together multiple million-dollar solutions to be able to deliver a prototype or a proof of concept. And that's one of the things that Mango Red has helped us to do. And we've got other proof of concepts that we're developing right now that will be based on Mango Red that highlight, for example, our shared data manager, but it highlights the capability that's built into the Mango Red. It uses the Wi-Fi on the board. It uses the low power capability of the board. It uses several other aspects that are on the board. So this Mango Red is the perfect platform for my shared data manager solution as well. So for us, the Mango Red has really been a godsend, because it has allowed us on a pretty small budget to be able to show our technology and win customers. The most important part is to win customers, and we've won customers with our Mango Red. So with respect to this, you know, how did I learn about Mango Red? Well, probably like Brandon, I was off looking on the internet, Googling things on the internet, and I discovered the Mango Green. So I discovered the Mango Green, took a look at the Mango Green, actually purchased several Mango Greens. We built our first prototype, and my first prototype, I couldn't carry it around with me because it was done so quickly. It was done in a matter of just a couple of weeks. I couldn't carry it around because we had a hand-built, hand-wired board tied into it. I had a video camera pointing at the board, and I carried a real VNC instance on my laptop and showed people from the mobile app how quickly I could reach this device using this technology. So we graduated from the Mango Green to the Mango Red to the point where we have a battery operated, very small. It's a very small, very nice, stable solution that allows us to do this. Why did we choose the Mango platform in the first place? It was the first platform that I found that was, I'll call it, publicly available, that allowed me to develop code directly on the application processor. Prior to adopting the Green, we had some Qualcomm MTP platforms and some other very, very expensive and not so stable platforms. So for us, this platform, again, was a great solution for us. With respect to the timelines, I'm not sure that I can give a simple comparison similar to what Brandon has. We now have a team which has evolved. It's evolved from just me to myself and about 10 or 11, 12 other engineers working directly on this platform. And each one of them, almost all day long, is writing and testing code using our Mango platforms. So for us, it has allowed me to put test and demonstration platforms not only in the hands of my customers, but also in the hands of my developers. And from my perspective, this was extremely positive, not only for me, but even while I was recruiting those engineers. When my engineers went out and they were recruiting, they showed this to new grads or prospective new grads, and they saw this and they got excited. So it was quite exciting for me to see it in this state. So Ashish, let me turn it back over to you for your closing, but hopefully that covers where we are, and I'll have a deck to you here in the next few days, so you can put a deck and replace my face with the deck, which will show some of the highlights of this solution.
Hi, can you hear me, Chuck and Brandon?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thanks, Chuck. This was really good. I started working with Chuck, I think in 2016 or early 2016, when I saw he had a lot of intelligent questions, just like Brandon did. And it was great to work with them, because the good thing is, it's not just a one-way street. We see that a lot of contribution is coming back from your teams as well. So thank you for that. One of the things we plan to do, having learned a lot working with companies, again, Tech and Barnacle and others, is we do plan to release over the next few months different kits. So in July, we plan to release our mobile asset tracking kit, which will be along with DigiKey and Richardson. It should be available on their store. So this will be all the learnings we have had for building a mobile asset tracker. So you can use that and start your development on that application. And through the course of the year and next year as well, we'll be going after different verticals. We'll be going after smart ag, smart agriculture, telematics, and different platforms, and releasing those kits in the market. The one final thing I would like to say is also that we have our Innovation Summit in June 5th. That's here while it's Paris. I will post the link where you can go and register if you want to. At that Innovation Summit, we will be also showcasing the first prototypes of our Mango Yellow, which the platform itself will be available later next year. But we want to, again, release the code externally to developers and see what the feedback is, and then evolve the platform based on the feedback we get. This is exactly the same way we did on the Mango Red as well. At this point, I would like to thank Chuck, Philippe, and Brandon for being on the call and sharing your experiences. It was actually great to hear your stories and to hear where you guys come from and how this platform has helped you develop your end product, as well as help you through your journey as an IoT developer as you build on this platform. From that perspective, thank you so much. And our next Hangout will be on July 23rd. Will be the mobile asset tracking kit that I mentioned, and we'll be providing you sample code as well as where you can buy the kit itself on DigiKey and Richardson. So thanks a lot, and have a good day, have a good evening, have a good night. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Ashish. Sorry about the background noise.
No problem. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Brandon. Thank you. Bye.